What?
Mike, you know what the good thing is?
We got all our friends.
This is VIP service here. We were looking for the little bus. We got the full bus.
You know why you need the full bus?
Why's that?
12:30 we go and pick up the school.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
A lot of kids.
Chris, we might have found the coolest place in Sweden.
pronounce that for me, please.
I'm not even gonna try.
Come on,
I
Mike.
found somebody who can.
Welcome guys to the Munktell Museum. Munktell Museet in Swedish, and this is where it all started. This is the beginning of Volvo construction equipment 192 years ago.
Oh, wow.
You want to come in with me?
Let's go check it out.
Absolutely.
The frame, which later, of course, it was self-bearing.
Right.
With the whole driveline, so that was why it became so huge.
It's crazy.
It's crazy.
1913.
And of course the iron wheels got stuck in the mud as soon as it was raining and it got wet and everything, so it wasn't the perfect tractor at that time.
So to hear you correct, the farm would have went from a horse or a team of horses
Yes.
directly to this tractor.
Yes, yes.
That's an upgrade.
That's
No, and what's quite interesting at this day and age, it's not that the Swedish society were open for change. I mean, this whole change journey that we're going through now with electrification and fossil fuel, that, I mean, at that time, changing the ways of working and using machines instead of sort of human work power and animals, we weren't really sort of up to that. So
Yeah.
it took a while.
It was new.
It was new.
It was
So
new.
everything that's new is dangerous.
People are afraid of change.
People are
They're
afraid
still
of
still
change.
to this
Yeah.
day.
It's not
That's
new
still to
no
the
more, and
day.
it's still probably dangerous.
Actually, we're taking her out. She's going to be at like an outside fair in September.
Really?
Yep.
See, even they call equipment her.
Yeah, this is.
We do it.
Yeah. You do that too, right?
I do.
Yeah, you do.
Everything's got a name.
So, the tractor development went quite quickly. We talked now about innovations, that things are happening so quickly, things are speeding up, and we have to sort of adapt to change so quickly. But if you think about it, back then, 1930, 1920, no computers, no CADs, no nothing. I mean, it's all the brain, writing it down, drawing down. Still, here suddenly we have a tractor in 1939 with air-filled wheels. It's, you know, got a combustion engine. So I mean, I think that's quite fast.
Oh,
anyway.
that's pretty incredible.
So, I'm sorry, what year did you say this was again?
1939.
1939. So this would have been 20-something years after the first one.
Yes.
Look at the change.
I know.
20 years.
20 years.
We panned the camera and everybody scattered.
She was not prepared.
So is this gas or diesel?
This is also diesel.
Also diesel.
Yes. But what we're actually doing now is that all the tractors that we can utilize here in the museum, we run them on HVO.
Okay.
So we're trying to adapt, and what's really fun is that they're actually running better on HVO because they don't suit up and they don't. Yeah, they're keeping up much better since they're not out driving.
Correct,
that
yeah.
often anymore.
So I'm not even going to try to pronunciate this.
That's Munktell's, and that's the name of the man
Munktell.
that was sitting outsed.
Which is the
Founder of the company.
Yep.
Yes. So he of course he hasn't lived for 200 years, but it was actually his son and his nephew that continued the company, and then it continued in the same sort of spirit as Munktell.
Because at some point
Exactly.
yeah.
And that was the Kruger cash in 1932. 1932, Bolinder and Munktell were merged because the bank that was owning both companies said that you're not going to survive this, being two sort of
So they combined them.
OEMs. So they combined them. I don't know if that was a sort of friendly merge or not, but at least it became a very successful company afterwards.
It's worked out in the long run.
It worked out in the long run, yes. So Bolinder, Munktell, and then they continued all the work here in Eskilstuna. So they moved the tractor development, engine development, and everything down to Eskilstuna. And after that crash, it was booming. So, I mean, every person in Sweden will have a relationship to a BM tractor.
And I think I missed it before we started filming, but this building, this facility
Yes.
is actually where some of this stuff was manufactured.
All of this has been manufactured here up
crazy.
until the end of the 70s.
Oh, wow.
So all the sort of everything you see, the tools and the ceiling, all of this was utilized. And you can actually see a photo, I don't know if that's possible to get on film, but this photo is from when it was engine testing in this room that we're standing right now.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. And you see,
1957.
they have no sort of equipment to save their ears or nothing.
Oh,
So
no.
no. So that's here. You can see it's the same.
Yeah, that's wild.
So what we're trying to do is like we're revitalizing the whole museum, but we're trying to sort of, you have to keep the patina and you have to keep the sort of feeling of this whole facility.
So this is really cool. So basically you have the tractors and pretty much the timeline of
We
progression.
try, and what's really cool is that none of these machines have sort of been created to be in a museum. They have been out working. They have all been utilized and been out at the farms and been, you know, used for different various jobs.
So I see we go from the BM
Yeah.
to
The
Volvo.
Volvo.
And that's happened. So Munktell was a very successful tractor company, and they were developing quite fast. Volvo was founded 1927. So that's almost 100 years after Munktell started his mechanical workshop.
Wow.
Right? So 1927, Volvo was founded. 1950, and of course Volvo was producing tractors, trucks, buses, pent engines, etc. But they were, of course, seeing that Munktell was quite successful in what they were doing. So they actually bought Munktell in 1950 and moved their tractor development to Eskilstuna.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So
Pretty
what
cool.
year is this one from?
This one's from 1957.
57.
And what actually happened, which is quite cool from a history perspective, is that since the two companies were quite powerful brands, and of course the customers were very loyal to their brand, they actually continued for 16 years producing red Volvo tractors and green BM tractors
But they're the
before
same
they
tractor.
merged them. Yeah, same tractor, same engine, same, but just red
That's
green.
like another manufacturer today with
Use different colors.
red and blue.
Yeah. So they did that for 16 years until they sort of changed the name
Over the years,
to
keep
BM
progressing,
Volvo.
yeah.
That is a fancy tractor even for today's
This one, this one. But this is actually, we feel that this has been rebuilt because if you see, this has actually got the green BM color on the
Yeah.
sort of chassis. So I think that this one's sort of been, this was maybe the beginning when they were actually trying to change it
Yeah.
in some way. Or and this actually, here you can see, this is one of the last tractors that were actually produced until we went over to construction and sold off the tractor development. But this was actually utilized here in this whole area because the whole area was part of the factory, BM Volvo, and
I'm sure there's still a lot of these tractors.
I mean, I did not know when I started
1966
here.
for this
Yep.
one.
So I mean, and they are everywhere. Everybody has some kind of uncle or farm or somebody that they know that has a BM.
Oh, absolutely.
So what was the reasoning behind, what was the thought process behind getting out of the tractor and ag industry and into the construction industry?
There were a lot of manufacturers for tractors
So
at
it
that
was
time.
A lot of
space.
competition.
It was a crowded space and not so much on the construction side. So I think that was a wise choice from the company to sort of say, okay, let's move over to something else. But I'm going to come into that because we actually have the first loader, which is built on a tractor.
Oh, cool. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
We'll check that on the other
But I
side.
just want to show you something first because this is pretty cool just from an industrial perspective and just like following Sweden in the industrialization. This is built in 1899. This is a steam engine, 400 horsepower. And basically the factory was here based close to the water. And there were two lakes that were sort of supplying all the factories and industries in Eskilstuna with power. And the thing is that if there was a water shortage, somebody had to sort of shut down. And it was always Munktell's Industries because the weapon factory, of course, got first
Took priority.
We have to, defend our country.
Exactly.
And all the rest of it, yeah. So, and I can start her up if you want.
Really?
Yes. Not by steam,
Oh,
but by air.
we'll take what we can get.
Yeah, you want to have a look? Horsepower. So this one
That's
and one
pretty cool.
more,
That is
and they
cool.
became self-sufficient on electricity.
Yeah, flywheel.
400 horse steam engine for generating power. That is cool.
Highlight.
That That is cool.
That
Can you
is pretty
imagine
cool.
when we have seatings here and dinners and stuff, and we start this up and people are having a beer or a glass of wine?
Oh, that is awesome.
Imagine when that was steam sitting there hissing.
That is awesome.
All sort of two-stroke hot bulb engines.
Okay.
That I can't do it now, sorry, but we actually can start them up, some of them. Just so, you know, guests and stuff can
Yeah.
have a little.
So for these, mostly for power generation?
These were power generations, yes. And these are sort of, we actually make waffles on this one.
So I guess what
Oh,
I'm
yeah?
trying to understand is back in the day, and even in big industry today, a lot of those don't pull the power off the grid.
Yeah.
They produce it
They made their,
themselves,
they
which is-
self-sufficient.
Yeah, so they became self-sufficient. Then they're like, okay, we don't care if we don't have, if it's water shortage, we can do it ourselves.
We can do it
which is
ourselves,
really-
exactly.
And they built 5 of these steam engines. 2 of them were then for the own factory, and 3 were sold to companies abroad.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
That is wild.
We can control everything when you make your own power and have your
Yeah.
own tools and everything, right?
Last sort of activity that was done here. And this is also our big event hall. So can you imagine having 300 people sitting here for dinner in this location
That
with
is
a
one
band?
very fancy chandelier.
Yes,
That is.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Hope it's rated for it.
That's an Aaron size one.
That's perfect.
Yeah, that's actually run by remote control.
I was about to say, is that remote control?
Yeah, that's remote control. So here we can seat up to 400 people, and we drive out all the machines. We do it all like special for all the visitors. So it's a you know, you don't forget having the
Right. No, you would not. That crane is just
It's amazing, isn't it? And that was run. This is the original crane, so that was running around here. So they mounted.
That's where the operators.
Yeah. They mounted the engines in here, and then they took them to the next hall where they tested them, like I told you before, and then they drove them out to the next paint shop or whatever they were going to do.
So I recognize Gravel Charlie over here in the first
Yes.
first loader.
There she is.
This is where the construction industry got its start, correct?
Yes, this is in here, in these locations. Here you can see working on these tools, etc. So this is Gravel Charlie, 1966. Was a cooperation with Livab. And basically here we are groundbreaking when it comes to market share, when it comes to articulated haulers, even now. But this
Absolutely.
was the first one. Suspension was terrible. We're bouncing up and down like you're at a fun fair.
Well, it's literally the front half of a tractor.
Yeah, and that's the whole point. So I don't know how this is working out for you, but this is basically
A tractor turned around backwards.
This is a tractor, and the tractor that we've turned around is the one standing in the corner. So
Yeah.
the BM35, basically, they took, because this was like the most popular tractor of all. It was really powerful. It was long endurance. You know, you could use it for anything. And they basically just built the frame, put on a cab,
And turn around backwards.
hydraulic tank, and you drove backwards. And what's really cool is like, okay, great innovation, but how it takes time for things to develop, because the steering panel is behind the seat
Yep.
in the cab. So you're like, start up here and go backwards. You can have a look. Yeah, in the museum here, you're allowed to climb up on all the machines.
That looks fun.
You know what? Back in the day, though, somebody was glad to have this thing.
You know they
Can
were.
you imagine? Yes.
Because you know what the alternative was.
Yeah.
And what's really cool is that what I wanted to then just catch up with the yellow machines is that it's the same power engine in this first loader as you have in Gravel Charlie and the 218, which is, you know,
Very
it's-
universal
it's been
between.
used- so basically they use the same sort of power, the same engine and everything, and just develop things around it. And of course, when we actually released all the tractor development and went over to construction, then the machines of course got yellow so that it can be seen for safety. Safety first.
So
Safety.
what is the year difference between this one and the first one?
Yep, good question. This is 1954,
Okay.
and then we have the 814 is 1972, was introduced.
Big changes.
Big
Big changes.
And
You
and
can
you
work
see
at night
that,
too with this
Yeah.
one.
you see that they still have the sort of, the wheels are different sizes.
Yeah.
And it was later, I don't have them in see right now, but the loader 845 and 846, the 845 was produced.
Four-wheel drive too.
With different size wheels, and it became such a sort of, from the customers, they're like, we have to keep so many wheels for spare parts, etc. So they had big discussions. So the 846 came quite soon after. That was the first loader with the same size wheels on both front and back.
Oh wow.
So it took a while for them to get there because they thought that's not possible, and it was possible.
With change.
Anything's possible.
Anything is possible.
Timeline from when Mr. Munktell was born, and all the way we've done this diorama with basically showing the developments, how people work by hand, and then ending up with electric excavators at the end. This is new, Alexa.
Very cool.
And now you can see
You
it's
got
Swedish on the
shovels,
wall,
the
but we have an
wheelbarrow, the
English
horses.
timeline there, so you can scroll.
Thank you.
That is crazy.
Cool.
And honestly, in real time, from there to there, is not that long.
No.
No.
Not that long at all.
It's pretty cool, huh?
That is pretty cool.
Again, beautiful machinery, steam engine, and this is called a locomobile, and this was also invented, and they came in different sizes, shapes and forms, and could always be utilized, like I talked about before, that technique with the leather bands. They can get connected to any kind of tool, if it's like a wood chopper or a thresher or whatever.
Sawmill.
So, yeah, sawmill, and then they could utilize it. And often they didn't own these on the farm, so they rented it in. So they got transported by horse to the farm,
And then set up.
instead of maybe threshing for 2 weeks, it took 4 days. So of course the efficiency was great.
There's still some irony of the horse had to haul it there.
Isn't it?
It is. It is. Just to give you a short insight about these machines which were produced for the Second World War. That was actually a demand from the government that when the Second World War started, all OEMs, all manufacturers were only allowed to produce machines and tools that could be utilized in sort of defending,
The military, yeah.
exactly, for the military. So then, of course, we talk about change now. That was also a change. We just had to adapt to the situation where you were. So then you got gas tractors, and you had the bandwagons and everything, so you could transport goods, create roads.
So for how long? I never even knew they made a bulldozer.
Yes, we did. Back in the days, we did bulldozers. But I think that was only done
Probably for the war.
done during the war period.
That's an interesting blade frame
It is.
setup. It goes all the way to the back. It's stout.
Yeah.
And that also works still. Maybe he did stuff.
See what Jerry has to say.
Oh, he'd run in a heartbeat. There cannot be very many of those out there.
No.
I've never seen one.
And again, transporting medicine, I mean, this was produced, it could actually go across water, and that's why they didn't create a door for the cab. So it's quite high up. But really just adapt, yeah, you're doing what you need to be done. So then they could be on, on snow. If it was like 2 meters of snow, and if you jump out, you just like sink through. Stable, cross the rivers and everything.
We got another loader here.
Yes, another loader, a lot of loaders.
Now we're getting into my stuff right here.
Yeah, cool. Oh, excavator. Yeah, and we're getting more excavators in here.
Good
We
old
only have
cable
one.
shovel
Yeah,
here.
Exactly. Just want to show you. We talked about the fact, just to confirm the fact that the tractor is the foundation of all construction equipment. Again, early ages, Munktell actually did a grader.
Wow.
Tractors, one of the ones we had in the first hall. Build a frame, put on a tool, boom, you have a grader.
That's just
cool.
that tractor is nothing more than a power unit used for whatever they needed.
Yep.
Yeah, exactly. So that's why it's so important.
Back in the day, it was the modern horse.
Yeah, it is. It's called the horse, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where did Ackerman? Is that you say it Ackerman?
Åkerman, yes.
Ackerman.
Yes.
Where did that come from?
That was south of Sweden. It
Okay.
was a company that was started up, which was doing these cable excavators. They actually started with moonshining equipment.
Really?
Yes, and they ended up with excavators. Quite,
That's quite the
quite
transition.
a cool. Yeah, exactly. No, so Åkerman was a company that VME at the time then acquired. It was in the south of Sweden only, and Volvo BM was not really part of what do you call it, the excavator program. So this was a trial to buy that. And it was I would say it's a difficult acquisition because they were very loyal in the south of Sweden. It was difficult for then a big company to come in and sort of buy that. But of course, it was the start of an era. And this, I would say, is probably the least comfortable machine to operate.
Absolutely.
It's like sitting in a tuna can or something. You have a big engine right behind you, there's loads of stuff, it's just no comfort at all. But what's pretty cool, if you think about it, okay, the first tractor weighed 8 tons. This Åkerman here weighed 11 tons. And basically, when they built it so huge and so heavy, it means the digging capacity is quite little. So
Yeah.
one of our compact excavators today has the same digging capacity as this huge 11-ton machine.
This one's got a little better paint on it than mine. How about yours?
Yeah, a little bit.
Really? I would say that's always difficult to take out to make good food like that. See?
Got that under control there, Mike?
Well, something feels, what's going on here? We don't have no stick on
It doesn't stick. That's so you don't hit the wall there.
Well, that's no fair.
Look at
You,
this
you can do
We
circles.
must have it
there.
on beginner mode. Where's advanced mode?
Gotta push the button twice.
Push the button.
That's a mighty impressive scoop you got there, Mike.
It is. What
Can
is
you go-
this? A 160?
It's a big 160. All right, it's been fun.
Oh, there's a screen. You got some swing power.
I know. Don't do that. You'll get dizzy.